What is the meaning of holding over in a lease agreement? Have you ever wondered what happens when a tenant stays in a rental property after their lease has ended? This situation is known as holding over. It occurs when a tenant remains in the property without signing a new lease or renewing the existing one. The tenant in this scenario is referred to as a holdover tenant. Holding over can take place in both residential and commercial real estate. When a tenant holds over, the original lease has expired, yet they continue to occupy the property. The rights and legal status of the holdover tenant depend on what is outlined in the lease agreement and the laws of the state. Many lease agreements include a holdover clause. This clause specifies what happens if a tenant stays beyond the lease expiration. A typical holdover clause will cover several important points. First, it will state the rent amount that must be paid during the holdover period. This rent may be higher than the original rent as a penalty for overstaying. Next, the clause will define the duration of the holdover tenancy. This could be month to month or another specified term. Additionally, it may outline any extra fees or penalties that the tenant may incur for holding over. Lastly, the clause will clarify the landlord's rights to evict the tenant or accept rent, which could create a new tenancy. From the perspective of real estate investing, including a holdover clause in lease agreements is essential. It protects the landlord's interests by clearly defining the terms if a tenant overstays. Without this clause, a landlord might face challenges in enforcing eviction or may unintentionally create a new tenancy with less favorable terms. For landlords, holding over can present risks. If a tenant refuses to leave, it may lead to a loss of rental income or delays in leasing the property to a new tenant. The holdover clause helps manage these risks by allowing landlords to charge higher rent or fees and providing a legal basis for eviction if necessary. For tenants, knowing about the holdover clause is important to avoid unexpected legal issues. Staying in the property beyond the lease term without an agreement can result in penalties or even legal action for trespassing. In essence, holding over means that a tenant continues to occupy a rental property after the lease has expired without a new agreement. The holdover clause in the lease governs this situation by setting terms for rent, duration, and the rights of both the landlord and tenant during the holdover period. This provision is a key tool for real estate investors to maintain control over their properties and minimize potential financial losses.